presentation to relates to the study of the scriptures. So let us get into today's presentation. Today's presentation is number 11, and it is called Predictive Programming. And when you look at the poster, it has the year 2025. So there will be a lot concerning the year 2025. So don't miss out on that. We'll be getting into 2025 issues. That is the next year. So predictive programming, presentation number 11. Our key text, as always, is Romans 12, verses 2. And be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. So God wants us not to follow the crowds and follow the majority of what the people in the world are doing, but we accept him that he may change our minds and transform our character to live that perfect and holy and acceptable life according to the will of God. So predictive programming is what we are going to study today. Predictive programming is the definition is a use of media to tell people what is going to happen without them knowing they're being told. So it's kind of a subliminal way of messaging people. The message gets into the brain without them really understanding that they have been told something. So the rulers of the world are planning to do something, and most of the big events that happen in the world are planned. And before they happen, they are made public through the masses in a subliminal ways below the limits of perception. Now this philosopher describe what it is. Alan Watts says, predictive programming is a subtle form of psychological conditioning. So it is a play with psychology provided by media. Remember, we are doing a series on media. So whatever we are speaking has to have an attachment to media. We want to explore as much issues connected to media as possible, not just the few things that we might have a knowledge. So it is a subtle form of psychological conditioning provided by media to acquaint the public with planned societal changes to be implemented by our leaders. So it is psychological conditioning. It is something that you are told without you realizing that you've been told about what these leaders are planning to do before it happens. So they plan something will happen probably this date, this year, and before it happens, we want it to go to the masses. So they use propaganda, they use subliminal messages in movies, in cartoons, in comic books, in beauty contests and shows. So they use a wide range of media platform to make sure it permeates into the people before it happens, without them knowing they have been told. So that when it happens, one of the reasons why they do that is to reduce the shock that event may bring to the world. So they try to absorb the shock earlier before things happen. So that is what it is. It is a psychological form of conditioning the brain, because they know that the masses are stupid, so to say. We are living in a time when people are not thinking for themselves. They follow what they are told. They are mere reflectors of other people's thoughts. Today, people are not thinking by themselves. That's why media comes in handy, because it influences people to think and to do things in a certain way. Even Christ recognized that in the book of Matthew 13:14 to 15. And in there is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, which said, by hearing ye shall not understand, and seeing ye shall see, and shall not perceive. For these people's heart is wax gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart. So it is a condition which people refuse to think, refuse to sit down and think for themselves, so that they are cognizant of what is going on. And that is what these people have realized. And Harold Laswell, who was a political scientist and a communication theorist in America, said that when elites lack the requisite force to compel obedience, social managers must turn to a whole new technique of control, largely through propaganda. So he's one of the proponents of propaganda, according as the founders. Remember, we did mention Edward Bernays and Bertrand. Those people came up with modern propaganda. We must recognize the ignorance and stupidity of the masses, and not succumb to democratic dogmatism about men being the best judges of their own interests. So he says we must recognize the stupidity and ignorance of the masses, kind of an exact condition of what is seen in the world. So he explained that in order to understand the meaning of a message, i.e., a movie, a speech, a book, one should take into account the frequency with which certain symbols appear in the message, the direction in which these symbols try to persuade audience of opinion, and the intensity of the symbols used. Now, we did speak about the symbols that are used. They represent a certain message. Remember, when we were starting this series, we said it is not about the bad effect of a certain platform or these devices. Yeah, they might have bad effects to our health and to our spirituality and all that. But the main issue, the underlying condition, is who is, because these devices and platforms are means through which a message is passed. So the question is, who is passing the message? What message is this person passing? And what is the purpose of the message? What is the message persuading you to do, to think, to be? So that is what Harold Laswell is saying here. Now, I want us to look at a video which is a little long, around 6 minutes. This video is speaking about what happens with this predictive programming. So there is someone who decided most of this predictive programming, and especially is especially used in advertisement. The advertisers use psychological conditioning for people to buy their thing. They always appeal to the emotional and psychological aspect of according to the vulnerability of humanity. So they use psychological influences to get people to buy whatever they want to sell. So they always put things in a strategic place, in a strategic manner, so that those things get market and sells. So what happened here in this video is that someone decided to turn the tables on these advertisers. So he took two of them. He told them that I have a work for you to do, and I will come and pick you. So he organized the whole trip from where he was picking them to a place where he wanted them to work. And he told them, I have a business. I want you to come up with the name of the business and the pictures of the business and the slogan And a poster about a business, the name, and all the issues in the poster. And through this process, he decided to draw a picture of what these advertisers will actually draw. So he drew it before he even called them. So he drew the picture and he says, this is what I think they will actually reproduce when they come to draw. And after that he had drawn, he went to fetch them. So when he fetched them, he made sure he placed certain signs and words at strategic points, words at the door. He even paid some people to walk through the street, which they will pass with certain words on the T-shirts. So he placed certain images and words and slogan in different parts of the doors and the streets wherever they were passing, knowing that these guys are going to look at all those signs and consume them without knowing. And then when they will reach there to draw the poster, they will reproduce exactly what he had already drawn. Now I want you to follow it. Make sure you be careful as you follow through it.
I invited 2 members of MBA, an advertising agency, to a secret location to propose an unusual task. Those who work in advertising are masters of persuasion. They subtly weave their images and slogans into our daily lives, knowing that we will register so much unconsciously. And then we walk into a supermarket and feel a sense of familiarity with a product we think we've never heard of. Millions of pounds a year are spent on it. It's brilliantly calculated, and we all fall for it. So I thought I'd turn the tables on the advertising experts. Thank you for joining us, gentlemen. Tony, yes?
Yes, that's right.
And Martin?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Darren. Let me get down to explaining exactly what I want you to do. Imagine that I'm opening a chain of stores selling a product, something I have a particular interest in. Your task is to come up with a poster advertising that store. And that poster must include the company name, whatever you decide that may be. It must include a strapline, some sort of slogan, and some kind of logo as well, some kind of visual image.
Sure.
Now the idea is you've only got half an hour to do this, so you've got to really work with your first instinct. So at the moment, you've got no idea what you're going to do, correct?
No.
Excellent. I'm also going to give you this. I've had a few design ideas of my own.
Okay.
I want to leave this untouched. We'll come back to that later. All right? Are there any questions?
What's the product?
What's the product? Very good question. Passion of mine since I was a toddler. It's a chain of taxidermy stores.
Ooh.
Let me pop the pussycat on the envelope so it remains untouched. You have half an hour, gentlemen. Good luck.
Great, thanks. Right, let's go for it.
Get stuffed is a start.
Right. Animal Hospital,
Yeah,
the ones who didn't make it. No, that's probably just stupid.
To do with wings.
All creatures great and small. Quality that says like nice, positive type dead animals. Animal heaven. Where animals go.
Animal heaven, that's good.
Graveyard.
Animal heaven's good.
Animal heaven.
Where the best animals go to.
Loads of clouds with animals on them.
Yeah,
Gates,
harps,
pearly gates,
gates.
bear playing a harp.
Yeah. Only the best
Zoo.
get in. Only the best get into air.
Yeah, yeah. Where dead animals go to live. Where the best.
It's the best place for dead animals. It's simple.
Time up, gentlemen. I
Okay.
can't wait to see what you've done. Come and show me.
Okay.
And Tony, before
Yeah.
we do this, can you take the envelope I gave you earlier? And
Okay.
can you please vouch for us here that no one's been anywhere near it? It's been under a dead cat. No one's touched it.
That's right.
That's the truth.
That's
That's the
correct.
truth.
Keep hold of it. Come around here. Now, before we have a look at it, just tell me, what was it like?
We started off thinking about the name. I thought that was we thought that was probably
Yeah.
the best thing to
The
do.
starting point.
Sure.
And then take it from there, really. We banged out a load of ones that were probably completely stupid, and then got down to the ones that were slightly stupid, and then we kind of, that went back
Yeah.
and forth for a bit, and then kind of got something we liked and developed it.
Can I have a look?
Sure.
Sure.
Is this it?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. it's a bear with a lyre.
So it's animal heaven, the best place for dead animals.
And it's obviously, you'd see that it was stuffed.
How did you come up with the name Animal Heaven?
We had the idea of the pearly gates of heaven being the zoo gates.
Zoo gates as the gates of heaven. That's
yeah,
interesting.
i.e.
Yeah.
sort of all the animals that are dead are in a dead zoo, if you like, in heaven. And then we just kind of thought, well, it's kind of nice, but it's a bit twee. We wanted to make it a bit funkier. And then we thought a harp-playing bear just answered the brief.
That's fantastic. I do want to show you my own ideas from beforehand.
Okay,
I don't want to touch. Would you open them for me?
sure.
And the winner is...
I think you'll find this interesting.
Okay.
Get rid of the envelope.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. All right. Not a million miles away. Let me put this up there. Hang on to that. It's
Yeah.
it's a harp-playing bear.
Yeah.
God.
You've gone for these angel wings here. Were you thinking of angel wings or bird wings?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
they were kind of a combination.
You
of
do
the
them a
two.
lot better than me. This was the same thing. I was thinking angel wings there. You've got animal heaven. I got creature heaven.
Yeah. So you're,
We're the
you're
best-
a bit off there then.
A bit off there.
That's okay.
Where the best dead animals go. Did you
God.
put blessed place for dead animals?
Wow.
Very similar. I had the idea of a zoo gate on there.
It was hard to
We
leave out.
didn't want to overload
It was hard to leave out, but
Sure.
it just wasn't. It was just a bit too much.
Can I see your other the other one you were talking
Yeah,
about?
pull
Is
it,
it one
yeah.
of the-
down. Yeah, it's just before there.
Is
yeah.
it very different?
Well,
Well, it's just the gates.
yeah.
Oh, gentlemen, please.
We're drawn quite similar.
Look at that. This was the image I was thinking. I've done it there in the background because this to me was the more striking image. And interestingly, you abandoned this for this one. This was
Yeah.
obviously
But
clear in your mind.
the first bear I drew looks exactly like that one, actually.
It did, yeah.
The first bear you drew.
Yeah,
Let's do it on the
shall I
pad,
show
yeah.
you on the notes?
Show me.
Like that,
Show
yeah.
me. What have you got?
Well, this is scary, really. But
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that. You've got the cloud, you've got the blue. If you knew the amount of effort we've gone into making this work, you'd be absolutely flabbergasted. But for now, it's comforting to know that you're just as susceptible to subliminal persuasion as the rest of us. Thank you very much for helping us out. Tony,
Thank you.
Martin,
Pleasure.
take care. Thank you
Thanks.
very much indeed.
Bye-bye.
I think I'm quite cynical, and when I saw the bear and I saw a cloud, first of all, from behind the paper, I thought, hang on, he's close here, and then when we saw the rest of it, I couldn't believe it.
I immediately thought, oh, I'm gutted. I could see that it was folded, and I just saw the bear's foot hanging over the cloud with a harp.
Yeah.
And I just thought, oh, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
You know, I was
And
gutted.
how embarrassing.
But now I think, oh, fantastic. You know, I'm over the moon.
I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously we're pleased for him,
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, it's
yeah, as long as
fantastic.
if he comes out of this looking good, then that's that's always the main thing.
To see how we did it, watch their taxi journey again.
Put a spell on you. Cause you're mine. You better stop the things you do. I ain't lying.
I think now, if you follow the video, you will understand what is happening. So the guy turns the table on these advertisers, and he places strategic messages and images and places where he knew they will absorb without them knowing, and they reproduce exactly what he had intended them to reproduce. That is exactly what happens with predictive programming. You know, for example, just to give a good example, a 1 hour movie is acted in months. You know, that movie that is 1 hour, it takes months to act. It takes millions of dollars to make sure it is complete, and it takes quite a number of people for the acting to be complete. The people cannot invest in using all those resources just to make you let it be an entertainment. There has to be messages that he puts strategically in different places of the whole movie to pass across a certain message to the masses. So we have there what predictive programming is and how it affects the people. So we've said predictive programming is a subtle form of psychological conditioning provided by the media to acquaint the public with planned societal changes to be implemented by the rulers that be. Now we want to look at a few of these. We will quickly go. through. So the examples of predictive programming, can this be a coincidence, or is this something that is planned? And one, we have the Titan, you know, the Titanic that sank. Before the Titanic that sank, before it was even made, there was a book that was produced. The book was first called The Wreck of the Futility, Wreck of the Titan. And then it was revised and called The Wreck of the Titan in 1912. And it featured an ocean, British ocean liner called the Titan that sinks in the North Atlantic Sea, ocean after striking an iceberg. So there is a book here that speaks about a ship that is called the Titan that sinks by striking an iceberg. This is 14 years before the Titanic is made and before the Titanic sinks. So the question is, was that a prediction? Was it a prophecy, or was it predictive programming? That the masses were fed with this idea that there might be a big ship which sinks because of hitting an iceberg. But unfortunately, when you study, you read the story, even the measurements of the ships are equal, very the same measurements that were used to build the Titanic. So the book is produced 14 years before the sinking of the Titanic. So it is called predictive programming, something that is planned before it happens. It is fed to the masses. Then we have another one here. This is the Simpsons cartoon. They released their cartoon in 2000, and we have a picture of Donald Trump dressed in navy blue and red tie, and here he goes down the Trump Towers, and here he speaks as the president. Now, 15 years later, Trump goes down the Trump Tower, and he also wins the presidency and speaks with the same kind of the same suit, the navy blue and the red. So is that a coincidence? Was somebody prophesying, or is it predictive programming? Something that was predicted and planned, this is how it will happen, and then it is fed to the masses to make an impact. And then beside that, we have the Twin Towers. And the Twin Towers, there were several predictions in 1976, in 1979, 1993, 1991. These are all cartoons and animations. And then 1994, this is the Pentagon. 1999, 1996. And this one is quite interesting. 1997, it was released by Simpson. The Simpsons seem to be predicting a lot of things. Unfortunately, it seems like this Simpson cartoon predicts a lot of things. So this picture is interesting because it speaks about the issue of the Twin Towers, and it gives the specific date. In New York, this is someone having reading a magazine, and the picture is seen with the $9 here, and then we have the Twin Towers making an 11. So 9/11, September 11, the same date that supposedly there was a terrorist attack. It doesn't look like a terrorist attack. It looks like something that was planned. It was put even in all these cartoons years before it came to happen. So it is called predictive programming. So major things that happen in this world, they are planned prior, then they are fed the masses through all means possible, and then they come to happen. So it is called predictive programming. And that is what happened with even the previous pandemic. You can go through several places where those predictions were actually placed, whether in novels back even 1981. So there are people who have gone through the research of some of these issues, and especially this one is quite striking. This is a comic series, a French comic series that had a contestant called Coronavirus, who was contesting through a certain race. It is called the Asterix and the Chariot race. And this particular one particular issue of the comic was released in 2017 and sold. It had a candidate, not really a contestant in that race, who was called Coronavirus, before things came into fruition in 2019. I will not go into the whole narration, and then we have others in The Simpsons. The Simpsons seem to be predicting a lot of these things. They are very much related, whether they have pet. Remember this issue of pets who are also susceptible to that virus, and we have the same issue with this releasing a cat flu, whatever. So there's a lot of this issue that were kind of looked like they were there and they were put in strategic places, to the extent that even in 2019 March, there was it is called a fashion show. So in this fashion show, there were several contestants. One contestant had this name, and he presented an outfit with a face mask. That is 2019 March, before something happens in 2019 around November. So you tell me that was just coincidence. Somebody has a name that is the same as the name of the virus, and then he presents an outfit that includes a face mask upon it. So all these things are kind of put together. Then we have the recent issue with the Trump. And it is an issue that it seems it was also somewhere mentioned. We have Tucker Carlson mentioning about the Trump issue. And as if that is not enough, we also had a prophecy on the issue. Now, there's someone who prophesied the event in March 14th. Now listen to what he has to say.
New wave of patriotism coming out, and that's whenever I saw Trump, and I saw a red wave coming out of Michigan, and then I saw Oklahoma, and there was embers of people, and they were all on they had torches all throughout Oklahoma, and they were raising up these torches that looked like fire, and they were bringing forth a new patriotism upon the nation, and it was being birthed, and it just kept spreading like fire all throughout America, and I saw Trump rising up, and then I saw an attempt on his life. This bullet flew by his ear, and it came so close to his head that it busted his eardrum. And I saw he fell to his knees during this time frame, and he started worshiping the Lord. He got radically born again during this time frame. I'm talking, people say he's saved now, but he becomes.
Now that was a video that was released it was recorded in March this year. That is way before this assassination so-called attempt. So it seems something, whether it was perpetrated or there were victims, or it doesn't so much matter, but it seems something is happening, whether it is the people who are planning or the demons who are planning and these minions, something is being planned. And there is a way in which it reaches the masses before it happens. And people get surprised that there are prophecies of the same thing before it even happened. Now, are there things that are already been predicted? We have this guy here who is always seems to be an expert in every single thing that happens in the world. He says how to prevent the next pandemic. So he's already giving a picture that, there is a next pandemic coming. So we need to prepare how to prevent it. Well, let us see if we have a next pandemic. We'll see some of what is happening. The world leaders are gathering to discuss disease X. Here's what here's what to know about the hypothetical pandemic. So we have a group of people coming together, that is CBS News, to discuss disease X. So what is disease X? So we have a disease that is coming, according to how Bill Gates put it, and it is called disease X. And the world health leaders warn of a pandemic 20 times worse than the past one. So disease X refers to a hypothetical unknown pathogen. So they already know there is a disease coming, and it is called disease X, but they don't know what it is. Number one. Number two, they already have the rating. It is 20 times. Now, I'm not sure how you can say there is a disease coming. We don't know what disease, but you already have a rating that it will be 20 times worse. I'm not sure how that works. How do you know it is 20 times worse when you don't know the disease? That is quite astonishing. Then you go X and you go forward and you realize that Sky News says disease X, UK scientists begin developing vaccines against a new pandemic. Oh, now that gets real. They have a disease that is coming. They don't know which disease. It is 20 times worse than the past, the pandemic that we just 2 years ago. And now they are even making vaccines. So something we are not getting here. It is 20 times. How do you know it is 20 times worse than the first one? And how do you know, how do you start making a vaccine for a disease that you don't know? Now, it seems like something is up. Somebody is making a vaccine of a disease that they don't know. Now, I want you to listen to this very carefully. When is that disease X coming? And what are the strategies that have been put in place?
3 days ago, the Geneva-based World Health Organization issued a report about clusters of a yet unknown virus
could soon develop into an epidemic of major proportions. The situation across Middle and South America is deteriorating rapidly. Violent turmoil in cities throughout Brazil have led to the death of at least 197 people. I want to be very clear. We have to take it very serious.
Prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
In the long term, everybody will die.
We need to act rapidly and all together.
We are tired of giving all the same advice over and over and over again.
In the last pandemic, they were absolutely useless.
Well, now they have even a stimulation of the pandemic that it is supposed to start December 2024. That is what they say here. Supposed to start this year, December 2024, up to through 2025. That is exactly what they are saying there. And then it is worse than this one because 40% of the infected will be hospitalized in comparison to 10% of the infected in the past pandemic, and then 60% of the hospitalized will require ICU treatment, which is higher, double the rate at which the past one occurred, and then it will have 20% fatality rate compared to 4 of the past one. That is why they say it is 20 times worse. So this is X. It is 20 times worse. They are already making vaccine. It is supposed to start in December 2024 through 2025. Well, that is quite something. It seems like next year things are going to happen. There are a lot of things that are being planned. So whether it will happen or not is not really a big issue for us. We are just trying to look at some of these predictions. So the first prediction is a pandemic. Maybe we call it a pandemic, because and the meeting that they were holding, they held the meeting in 2021, even before the past pandemic was over. They were already holding a meeting discussing the next pandemic. Now, what happens in 2025? So one of the issues we've seen, it seems like there is a possible pandemic virus in the pipeline, as Bill Gates and all the other ones say. And you can find that even in movies. So it is already out in certain movies. We have this movie called 2025, The World Enslaved by a Virus. So that's a movie that was released. And we have another one here called Virus 2025. So we already have this predictive programming through the media and through these movies. Beside that, we have the establishing of AI, the rules and regulation. AI came out and there are no concrete rules to govern how it's supposed to be used. And it seems by next year, 2025, something is about to happen to have these ethics being incorporated in the AI technology. Experts say the new normal in 2025 will be far more tech-driven, presenting more big challenges. So there's something that is going to be involved in 2025 with the AI and the technology world. And the new normal, of course, you can see the one eye symbol there, the new normal, the new normal, the new normal. And I came across this advert by Grammarly. Grammarly is a Ukraine-founded AI for writing and editing and whatever. And on this art, there's something that you can see there is a launch of, the purpose of this document is to apply the specification for a new data management platform that must be launched by April 2025. So I came across this because there are several Grammarly adverts. I came across around 2 of them that were mentioning 2025, and I thought that was interesting. So we have a pandemic for 2025, we have AI in 2025, we also have trends and forecasts 2025. So there's some issues about trends and technological and forecast about what is supposed to happen in the year 2025, beside the 2 that we have mentioned. Now, this is a website called Diggle.com. Is a website that has kind of high knowledge in the military sector of the world, and it provides some information in those sectors. Now, in 2020, they released a prediction of population of the world in 2025 according to each nation. And I'm not sure why, but they had a prediction. For example, you can see here, we had 2017, where is the population? 2017 population will be 327. And then they come down to a forecast to 2025. I'm not sure why the forecast was specifically on 2025. So the population will go down to 100 million. So that is the population of the United States of America, from 327 million to 100 million. So it seems to be a drop. In Germany, 2017, it was 81 million. It will go down to 28 million. That is quite something. That means there are a lot of people that need to die for that population to come down to the figure they are thinking about. So probably the reason why we have a lot of wars and pandemics and more pandemics coming, so that that population goes down. United Kingdom, the population in 2017 was 66 million. It has to go down. Forecast 2025, it has to go down to 15 million. And some of the predictions are already there. We have Georgia Guidestone, which I'm not sure if they still exist. Somebody blew them up after reading what they had. It was like 10 commandments. There were stones that were erected in Georgia, and they were written in these languages: English, Spanish, Swahili, Hindi, Hebrew, Arabic, and traditional Chinese and Russian. And they were like 10 commandments inscribed in these stones. And one of the issues that is spoken is, number 1, is to maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. So they want, according to whoever put them there, the people who put them there, they want the population of the world to be below 1 billion, half a billion. That is their agenda, that they want to reduce the population down to half a billion. We are around 7-8 billion right now. Now they want it to come down to half a billion. That's why we also have those prediction of De Gaulle. You can see from 66 to 15. That means a lot of people will die from whatever reason, we don't know. So this Georgia Guidestone, they were blown up with someone in a few years ago. And the Guidestone, they go back to 1779 when a man calling himself R.C. Christian. The writer is called R.C. Christian. I don't know what that means. Probably a Roman Catholic Christian or something like that. So this is the De Gaulle 2025 forecast. United Kingdom population in 2017, 63, population in 2025, 14. Ireland population is 4 million down to 1 million. United States from 300 million to 99 million. Puerto Rico from 3 million to 1 million. Germany from 80 to 28. So it is a reduction in most of the big countries. There is you can see the margin, a change of a negative 77%. So how will it happen for 77% of a population to disappear? So it means there are a lot of things that will have to be put together. So the negative reduction in the trend. So that is the forecast of De Gaulle in 2025, a reduction of population. Then we go to a global trends 2025. This is a document that was released by the National Intelligence Council. And here we have the US seal. So it was released by the government document by the United States. And it speaks about trends of 2025 trends. The document was released in 2008. So 2008 already had a document on 2025. You can get the document actually in this using this link here. So they spoke a lot of things. Even they spoke about a pandemic, probably what happened in the past 2 years, 2 years ago, the pandemic, and there were a lot of the protocols that we had. Most of them were in this document. Now, before that, there was also another book called 2025. This is a book that was published in 1997. So I think you are seeing a trend. This 2025 is being mentioned here, there, for whatever, another pandemic, technological things, forecast, reduction of population, and global trends. So this is a book that was published in 1997. And when you get into the book, it is about trends, the same thing. You can see scenarios of US and global society reshaped by science and technology. So book published in 2025. Now, when you go to the acknowledgement of the book, it says, our first thank you is to the sponsors, the people and organizations who made possible the original project 2025. Oh, so before even this book was produced, there was an original project 2025. So before 1997, 96, when that book was published, there was another 2025 project 2025. And then this one in 1997, and then we have another one in 2008. So it seems like all these documents and all these issues are centered in 2025. And then we have another one released last year. It is a book called Project 2025. It speaks about the US leadership mandates for the one who takes over leadership. So it's a heavy book, actually, around more than 900 pages. That was released by conservative organizations in the United States, more than 300. They came together, they made this book. It is called Project 2025, the mandate for leadership and conservative promise. So that was released last year. The mandate, in other words, anyone who takes up leadership, especially the conservative side, they are supposed to follow. Remember, these are mandates. It is what they want to be implemented. And inside that, we have the Sunday law. Of course, it is spoken in page 589. We have the Sabbath rest. And Sabbath is a day of rest, and they speak about all that. So they want they want a day, whoever takes over leadership in the coming election of the United States, to implement the aspect of having a day of rest, a Sabbath of rest, which of course is Sunday according to how they read. You can get these documents actually online so that you go through it. You will not have time to go through them. So we have a document released last year for mandate of what the people, these conservative groups, want to see the government, especially the presidency, do in the United States 2025. So we have a lot of prediction now that even Trump has become kind of hawking Bibles. He now has a Bible, and the Bible has the American Constitution inside. So kind of bringing the church and the state into cahoots. Now the same thing is happening throughout the world, where people feel like there's a lot of secularism. We need to go back to a kind of morality. Now, besides that, we have an alien manifestation that has been predicted to happen in 2025. So that is number 5, prediction of 2025. Remember, we are studying predictive programming. So we have this alien narrative that there are aliens that are coming from different outer space, from other planets or whatever other dimension, to come and bring a message to the people. Now, it is quite a narrative. I want us to go through it very quickly. Listen to these videos.
There's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are. We can't explain how they moved, their trajectory. They did not have an easily explainable pattern. And so, I think that people still take seriously trying to investigate and figure out what that is.
There are things flying around up there that we haven't fully identified yet. And keep in mind, there are basically 1 billion galaxies in an ever-expanding universe. I mean, you can't even get your mind around the sheer number of things that are out there.
But you've seen this.
And
you've seen the data.
Well, no one knows, but I think that the probability is that there's something you would call life somewhere else.
The mission of ATIP was quite simple. It was to collect and analyze information involving anomalous aerial vehicles. What I guess in the vernacular you call them UFOs. We call them UAPs.
You know how this sounds. It sounds nutty, wacky.
Look, Bill, I'm not telling you that it doesn't sound wacky. What I'm telling you, it's real. The question is, what is it? What are its intentions? What are its capabilities?
So there is a narrative of this alien coming, and there are issues that have been surrounding the same narrative, especially through Hollywood and the movies. And beside that, there are actually real sightings of some of strange things that are happening, and we'll see what they mean. Let's look at this one also.
The Defense Intelligence Agency has just released that program's 2010 report on UFOs. And among other things, the document tells us the government can prove that UFO sightings have caused radiation burns, paralysis, and brain damage. The report also says that some people who saw UFOs experienced, quote, perceived time suspension. They also saw ghosts and other spirits. In all, that report lists 42 cases of adverse effects from medical files and another 300 adverse effects from unpublished cases, whatever that means.
So the narrative says that there are effects of some of these things and sightings of the UFOs and the alien narrative.
So if aliens are real, space aliens, they must really like American culture.
A recent poll found the United States is the UFO hotspot of the entire world. And the runner-up isn't even close. A staggering 92% of all reported UFO sightings take place in the U.S.
Which state is home to the UFO Welcome Center? South Carolina or Louisiana?
South Carolina.
And you are both right.
Oh, okay.
A guy named Joe set it up on a freeway, 25 years, still no alien arrivals.
There have been a spike in UFO sightings in recent years, too, which may or may not be linked to the U.S. Navy releasing videos like this one. An official who studied the sightings for the British government says that the increase could be genuine, but it could also be linked to a decrease in the stigma. With the fear of being ridiculed gone, more people are starting to come forward.
A professor.
Now, there's a time I did a series on the oil issue, but it is a serious issue. We will see why. But it seems like some information is coming out about these strange, supposedly aliens that are coming to our world. Now, UFO in China skies prompts investigation. So this is something that happened in 2010 in China, and there was some investigation. Now, this one happened in last year in India, in Impal airport, where there was this object that was, it is called a saucer shaped, that hovered on the sky, in the sky for several hours. So it was not something that was for 2 minutes or second, several hours. It actually took around 3 hours hovering upon the skies around the airport. So all the operations were disrupted. No flight could take off or come in. That is how serious the issue is. Sometimes people believe it, sometimes people don't believe it, but it took several hours. That should tell you that is quite something. Now, from eternity past, 496, Ellen White says, many regard spiritualism as mere imposture. Its manifestations are attributed to fraud. Some people say that some of these things cannot be. Unfortunately, something is happening, and we have to recognize that something is happening. But the question is, what is this something? That is the biggest question that we should ask ourselves. But there are people who feel like, no, those are just people's imaginations. Unfortunately, it is not. For something to hover upon an airport for 3 hours, that means something is really happening. And let us get a little glimpse of what might be happening.
A pillar of fire at night and confused Russian troops. It has some asking, are Ukrainians receiving heavenly help?
There's some miracle happened. It looked like some spaceship, like there was like an attack from the spaceship. There was some kind of a lightnings was starting shooting from the sky, and like sparks were like spreading everywhere. And then on the morning they discovered that the whole machinery was destroyed.
Yeah, so we have this strange looking machinery from the space that came and shot lights, and then somehow it exploded and they found it. So it is something that looks strange, but it might have some implications if we are not very careful. Now, let us look at this video here that the interviewee speaks about what happens in this spaceship. He's one of the people who has been communicating with the aliens. He says he has actually entered even into their space, whatever planes or spaceship.
In secure locations, and the ships are there and the whole thing. But
you've seen this. Admittedly, I don't know much about you. So
I have not only seen them, I've been on the ships, the whole thing. They've been working with us very closely for a very long time.
It was at this moment when I knew this was not going to be a normal interview. Seeing lights in the sky is something I can accept, and seeing beings materialize is something I can accept as well. But I never thought I would be speaking to someone who has direct communication with non-human intelligence. I want to remind everyone that according to MUFON Director Joe Jordan, they can appear as any form.
Now, we will not get into a lot of that. So this is a person who has been in the ships. He's not just communicated with these so-called aliens. He has been in their ships, and he says he has been. The communication has been for a long time, and the government was trying to hide it from the public. But later on, around 2020, 2022, and last year, they came out and said, "Well, this is information that the public should know." To the extent that the government, the Congress, formed a committee for these people to give information on the unidentified flying objects, unidentifying flying object. Now let us listen to what this lady has to say about these alien things and what she was told they will, how they will deceive people.
The strategy that Wernher von Braun taught me was that first the Russians are going to be considered to be the enemy. In fact, when I met him in '74, they were the enemy, the identified enemy. Then terrorists would be identified, and that was soon to follow. We heard a lot about terrorism. Then we were going to identify third world country crazies. We now call them nations of concern. And the next enemy was asteroids. Now at this point, he kind of chuckled the first time he said it. And the funniest one of all was against what he called aliens, extraterrestrials. That would be the final card. And over and over and over, during the 4 years that I knew him and was giving his speeches for him, he would bring up that last card. And remember, Carl, the last card is the alien card. We're going to have to build space-based weapons against aliens. And all of it, he said, is a lie.
So this person who was a peer kind of, who, for someone who was involved in the occult, and he said the devil has been planning a lot of things, and the last card is the alien card. There is all this narrative that we have aliens that will be coming, and we need to do something. So they have the good aliens that come and say, we want to help you fight the real aliens that are bad, that are coming. So that is the kind of narrative that is being passed across. Now, there is a man called Roger Monod, and he was one of the occults who was converted, and he did have an interview with a number of people, and he said something about this alien narrative. Now, listen.
And the priest told us, could I have a little bit more? You were telling me something very fascinating. He says the grain plane, the master's grain plane, for harvesting the nations, for harvesting the multitudes of the earth into his cause, just before the close of the great controversy between the forces of good and evil. So we continued, after we expressed ourselves that we're deeply interested to know more about the activities of spirits. And he said it's going to be done in a unique manner. This grain plane is going to take people are going to eat the stuff. Because he says spirits, demon spirits, will declare themselves to be inhabitants of far distant planets in the galaxies that are coming to warn the inhabitants of planet Earth of the impending destruction of the planet unless something seriously proper is done to avoid it.
Okay, so demons will come masquerading as aliens from far distant places, and they will come saying they are coming to warn the people about an attack that is coming. So that is the narrative that is happening. We have all these aliens with their funny ships, spaceships, and they have a message they are trying to pass across. Now, when you do a little research on this alien narrative, we have many UFO sightings can be dismissed as there is an UFO and occult connection. There's a very, very close connection. Most of the places that this UFO happen is a place where there's a lot of occult activities happen. Those who have thoroughly investigated the topic are aware of the strong connection between UFO phenomena and occultism. And the spiritual counterfeits knows that many reported cases of UFO contact some kind of occult involvement prior to the initial UFO contacts. So before somebody has these experiences, they have to be in an occult setting. And making contact with aliens are those who typically involve one of the following: trance states, seances, clairvoyance, spiritism, automatic writing, peering into crystals, levitation, out-of-body experience. So these new age kind of occultic practices are what makes you to be an easy contact. These aliens, if they have a message to give to the world, they come to these people who do this occultic activity. So it is a spiritualistic activity. These are demons who masquerade themselves as aliens to come and give certain messages, to the extent that they even are manifested in some of the churches. Now, there was this one, Kenyans react to sighting of Virgin Mary in Kasarani. So there is a relation between what is happening now, where they are called Marian apparition, where some demons masquerade as some demons masquerade as Mary, and they are trying to give a certain message. Now let us listen to this one. Listen carefully to this next video about the same.
It was here in 1917 that 3 children claimed to have received messages from what some Catholic theologians believe was the Virgin Mary.
In Fatima, children saw an apparition they said was the Virgin Mary. And 70,000 people came to this same sheep pasture. And people said that they saw a spinning silver disc. The Catholic Church, for a very long time, would not acknowledge what was happening with the children or Fatima.
The extraterrestrials give to the children a telepathic message saying you are not alone on this planet. We are here. We have been here some thousands of years ago. We observe you. Please prepare mankind that we will return again. All this story of Fatima went to the Vatican.
But is it possible, as ancient astronaut theorists contend, that the Catholic Church censored the messages that were received in Fatima?
The kids were given 3 messages, and the Pope refused to release the 3rd message. The 3rd message apparently talks about extraterrestrial life. Now that is sensational, because to me, to deny the revelation of that particular message, and that is exactly what the Pope did. And I wonder why.
Well, now this connects the Marian apparition with the alien theory, that there's a message that was given through these apparitions, and it was relatable to the UFOs, and the message that was given to the world from the papacy negated the alien narrative, and the question they ask is why. Now listen to this, why it was negated. This is the reason.
But what they're saying to us now is it's going to affect Christian belief. There is a professor for the Pope's University in Rome, and he is a very highly respected intellectual. His last name is Tanzaniti, and he has written a paper now in which he is saying that very soon, not right in the beginning, we won't have to deny our Christian faith in the beginning. But there is information coming from another world, and once it is confirmed, it is going to require a rereading of the gospel as we know it. And that's the kind of information that we are receiving from the highest levels of Vatican intelligentsia.
Well, that is the reason, because this information that is coming from this supposed being from other worlds is going to require a rereading of the gospel, of the Bible. Yeah, so if you try to, you can get a book called Marian Messages by Vance Farrell. He puts together what messages from these Marian apparitions, the progression of the messages, how they started as innocent, and then now they changed as they progressed. So this is the last card, a spiritualism in form of aliens coming from outside to come and help Earth from an impending attack. Of course, from who? The impending attack is the coming of Christ, of course. So the devil is trying to pull his last card to the world. And when are they predicting it will happen? That is the question. The last card, 2025. Betty Hill claimed that aliens told her that the year 2025 will be a significant date. And she said that aliens will return to the earth in 2025. So this is a list of different occult people who were pointing to the dates that these aliens had given a prophecy that they will come to appear. So Hill's claim is 2025 is based on a high interpretation of aliens' telepathic messages, and then Hill's claim 2025 has been met with whatever mixed reaction. We have Travis Walton claimed that he was abducted by aliens in 1975. He said that the aliens told him they will return in 2025. Whitley Strieber claimed that he was abducted by aliens on several occasions in the 1980s, and he was told they will return in 2025. We have Bardo Thol, also known as the Tibetan Book of Death, and is a Tibetan Buddhist who described the experiences of the soul after death. Bardo Thodol says that the year 2025 will be a time of great change and transformation for humanity. The Law of One speaks about a spiritual philosophy that was channeled by Carlo Tala, say in the 1970s. He says that the earth is about to enter into a new age of enlightenment, and this age will begin in 2025. And then we have a new world order, and the new world order conspiracy theory claims that a secret cabal of elites is planning to create a one world government, and some people say it will be established in 2025. So it seems like between 2025 and 2030, there are a lot of predictions. Aleister Crowley spoke about something happening in 2027. Elena Petrovna Blavatsky, a Russian occultist, spoke about something to happen in 2027. And JPF Buezel, a French occultist and magnetist, spoke about something that will happen in 2027. And Michael de Nostrodam, a French physician and astrologer, predicted that the year 2027, something great conflict and upheaval will happen. And then Edgar Cayce, American psychic and clairvoyant, predicted the year 2027, a time of great change and transformation. Ramtha, a spiritual teacher who claimed to be 35,000-year-old Atlantean, predicted that the year 2027 there will be a great awakening. And Zachary Smith, a prophet seer, predicted the year 2027 will be a great change and upheaval. David Wilcock, a writer and researcher, predicted the year 2027. Michael Treson, 2027 year something, a great upheaval. And then John Michael, 2027, Benjamin Cream, 2027, and all these people and occultists, they seem to have a prediction between 2025 to 2027 up to 2030. So it's a long list of all these occultists pointing to 2025. Now, let us go back to Alice Bailey, the founder of the New Age movement. He says something will happen in 2025. It is called the externalization of the hierarchy. And he says a new movement is proceeding and tremendously increasing interplay and interaction is taking place. This will go on until AD 2025, during which the years intervening between now and then, very great changes will be taking place. And at the great general assembly of the hierarchy is probably the devil and his demons, held as usual every century. In 2025, the date in all probability will be set for the first stage of the externalization of the hierarchy. So 2025 seems to be a time when whoever is working behind the scene is supposed to come out, the externalization of the hierarchy. So probably the hierarchy is the devil and these demons that will come in form of aliens or whatever narrative. So that is what they are predicting. So it seems with all these predictions that are already put into the media, the last card, remember, was the alien narrative. I'm not sure whether it happens or not, but that is what they are saying, that 2025, from 2025 to 2030, it seems like there are things that are bound to happen according to their prophecies. It seems like something is coming.
Something's coming.
Something's coming.
Yeah, something's coming, but it's nothing like what these Hollywood films and shows are portraying. Aliens first appeared on the big screen in 1902 with the release of A Trip to the Moon. Since then, movies and shows carrying this theme have only intensified. Aliens, UFOs, gods or demons, there's always something coming.
We are fighting a war. Our enemy is not human. We need you to fight.
And their agenda is to steal, kill, and/or completely destroy Earth.
Your choice is simple. Join us and live in peace, or pursue your present course and face obliteration.
The solution? A unified front of guns blazing to either ward off whatever or whoever is coming. Kill or be killed, right?
We fight or we die.
Well, it's 2021 and the themes are no different. It kind of makes you wonder, what exactly are we preparing for?
Kahndaq needed a hero. Instead, they got me. I did what needed to be done. I'm free. And I give you my word. No one will ever stop me again.
We have watched.
Yes, something is coming, and this something is coming is a battle, and the battle between good and evil, climaxing battle of Armageddon. And in Revelation 16 verse 13 says, I saw three unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon and out of the mouth of the beast and out of the mouth of the false prophet. For they are unclean spirits working miracles and going forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world to gather them. So there is an issue of being gathered. These demons are gathering them together to the battle of that great day of God Almighty. So it's a battle against God, and they are trying to bring all these things together. And now we have to be careful, because that is, according to them, the last card. It seems like something is coming, and we have to be prepared. The question is, if the devil is planning for something, if all these things that he is predicted are coming to fruition, what are we doing also to prepare ourselves for the coming of Christ? Are we going to unite with this multitude, Gog and Magog, to fight whoever is coming from above? Remember, the one coming from above is the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world, and he will win the war when you read the book of Revelation 19. Now, this video brings this to an end, and I want us to look at it. It's a video about the same narrative, that we have these aliens that came to the earth and they did this good and this that bad, and after a period of time when they had brought supposed success and peace on earth, it was a time for them to come out and externalization of the hierarchy, to come out and show themselves to the world who they are. And guess what happened? The aliens that came out were demons. Now, I'm not sure if we'll have time to go through the video, all of it, but I will wish you to listen to. I think it's not that long, then we close.
How should we react to the arrival of an advanced alien civilization on Earth? Should we be happy or scared? Just a short time ago, the Earth received its first visit from an alien civilization. In an instant, all human aircraft lost power, but instead of a rapid descent, planes descended slowly and mobile phones lost their signal altogether. Immediately afterwards, a giant spaceship appeared in the skies above the major cities of the world. People gazed at such a magnificent technological vehicle, finally realizing that we humans are not alone in the vast universe, and at the same time sending the world into a state of panic. Stranger still, people who had long since passed away reappeared to their loved ones. They claim to be the overseers of the earth and have come to Earth not to invade, but to help humanity evolve. A golden age for humanity was about to dawn. As they say, overnight, wars, hunger and all kinds of inequalities across the globe have ceased to exist. It was an unprecedented sight of peace for human civilization. Since then, the aliens have been hailed as supermasters, but the United States saw it as a crisis. If the world stopped going to war, people would lose their fighting spirit and the economy would suffer greatly. After all, the United States was used to being on top, so how could it be on an equal footing with other countries? And they believe that if the aliens start a war, mankind will be defenseless and must be prepared in advance. In contrast, there is another group of people who share Mike's view that alien civilizations are 100,000 years ahead of humans and that it is better to lie flat and let things take their course rather than worry about them. As night falls, Mike slowly walks out of the room at the aliens' beckoning, and the next moment the house is instantly disintegrated. It turns out that the Ultra Master admires violent death, Overlord behind his back, so they sent someone to kidnap Mike. They wanted Mike to betray the crisis, and the actions of the Freedom Corps were exposed and eventually collapsed under the pressure of public opinion. An astrophysicist. Hunger, disease, disaster and war were all a thing of the past. Seeing that the time was ripe, the Overlord decided to meet the humans and slowly stepped off the ship in full view of all of them. But his appearance terrified everyone. His crimson face was like a demon's. This did not look like the Overlord who had saved humanity. The alien civilization known to mankind as the Overlord had come to Earth, but not with the face of a demon. All humans were instantly disappointed and could not believe that the Overlord looked like this, despite their ugly appearance.
Yeah, so I had to cut short the video. So it is a movie that kind of explains the whole alien story. So the aliens say they will come and do good, and finally they come out to reveal themselves, and it is the devil. And unfortunately, when you looked at the picture, it is a girl and a boy that are that are bringing this demon to the people. Kind of the picture that you see in the Satanic Temple of the Baphomet. So this seems like what is going to happen, and we are not sure whether whatever they are saying is coming to fruition, but the mindset has been prepared. So we have to know that things are happening. The mindset of humanity is being prepared for whatever the leaders that be, those that rule the world are planning. But the question is, what are you doing to prepare when Christ comes? Are you going to unite with these people who are going to fight anyone who comes from above? Or are you going to be on the side of those who will welcome Christ when he is coming? Something that we need to ask. So is a question of preparation, predictive programming. So let us close this with a prayer, even as we ask the Lord's blessing. Father Lord, we come unto you even this evening. We are grateful that you've led us through the study. As we are going to have a rest, we pray that you may guide us. Continue speaking to us even in the studies that are ahead of us. We commit ourselves before thee, asking for your blessing, for your consecration, and above all, you may continue convicting us and speaking unto us. And the time when it comes for us to make a decision and to walk in your ways according to your glory, we pray that you enable us by your grace and by your spirit. Let your will be done even this very evening is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Fill my cup.